Hello, Global Theater. My name is Gerry Fialka. Today's Feb 26, 2025. Want to thank Rob Grant and his amazing podcast, I'm Probably Wrong About Everything. Please subscribe. Also want to thank Sweeney's Pharmacy in Dublin for introducing me to today's guest, Carmel Deirdre Humphreys. Is that the right way to pronounce that?
Close enough. Carmel Deirdre.
No, you say it once.
Carmel Deirdre Humphreys.
Thank you. And we're going to call you CD, and that's your artist name. Where are you calling in from?
Calling in from Dublin City.
How cool is that? The first question is, what is the best thing for a human being?
I want to say like air, but past the basic triangle, I don't know. Love, is that a bit? Well, I don't know. Something like that. Air and love.
Air and love are great. That's super. Love is the answer I get the most, and I do get air once in a while. What's your favorite form of information? How it comes into you?
Definitely being told by other people. I love when friends of mine or just strangers, which has happened, people walk up to me and just tell me facts about things, and then I write them down in my little notebook that is my second brain.
You mean handwritten in paper and pen?
Yeah. In this little book.
You mean you don't do this all day? Do you do that too?
Surprisingly, well, I do a fair bit of that, but I like writing things physically.
Yeah, well, what you said, being told by others, is sort of like direct experience, we call it, or direct conversation, being told by others. Why do you think humans collect or gather information?
Sorry, you kind of I missed what you said there.
Yeah. Why do you think humans collect or gather information?
Sorry, it went
Yeah, that's all right. Just say yeah, if it breaks up, just say repeat. Okay, why do humans collect or gather information?
Okay. I mean, I think curiosity is innate. Children are some of the most curious people in the world, and children are our most primal selves.
Yeah.
Possibly the closest to our natural state of being. So I don't know. I think it's just innate, a curiosity.
Yeah.
I find myself very curious at the moment in all aspects of life.
It's good. Fill in the blank. I don't know what I think until I.
It broke up again.
Okay, it's fill in the blank. I don't know what I think.
Okay.
I don't know what I think until I fill in the blank.
I don't know what I think until I would stop it at I don't know what I think.
I've had that answer. That's good. I don't know what I think, but I think you do. But we'll carry on. Can humans think without language?
I don't know. I keep missing the question.
Okay,
I don't know if that's me or you.
No, that's all right. It's probably a server or a connection, but the best thing is just say repeat, and I'll repeat it.
Okay.
So it's, can humans think without language?
Can humans think without language? Yes.
What do you do when language? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, didn't they some scientists do some horrible experiments on people and not allowing them to talk or giving them language. I mean, I think the brain can do shapes and colors and concepts.
Yeah. What do you do when language doesn't work? When language breaks down, what do you do?
Physical signs,
Yeah.
gestures, drawings,
Yeah.
things like that. I think you have to get creative. I think it's possible.
It's good. Your observations of humans in general, are we more thinking or more feeling?
I think some people are more thinking and some people are more feeling.
Yeah.
I'm definitely more feeling,
Yeah.
big time. But I think some people are more thinking, definitely.
Yeah. These are two questions from Alan Turing in the 50s. One, is thinking a function of the soul?
The soul. Well, is the soul real? I don't know. Is thinking of it? I kind of want to say no. I feel like I don't know if I believe in souls.
Yeah, that's fine. In the second Turing question is, can machines think?
Can machines think? I think. Well, I think machines can imitate thinking,
Yeah.
and I think they can do something that may appear to look like thinking, but I don't think so.
Do thoughts create emotions?
Could you repeat that?
Do thoughts create emotions?
Do thoughts what emotions?
Create emotions.
Create.
Yeah.
Do thoughts create emotions? No. Well, not for me. Maybe they do for some people.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they do for me. I think they can. I think
Yeah.
they definitely can. I think they can conjure emotions.
They conjure is good.
For me, I would say mostly though emotions come first.
Yeah. I'm for changing the words too. That's what it's all about. Us psychoanalyzing the wording. So, do you more pursue happiness or more pursue meaning?
Could you say that again? Sorry.
Do you more pursue happiness or more pursue meaning?
Um. Oh, me, big time, 100% happiness.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in meaning. Well, not really.
Yeah.
Happiness.
Does the brain more detect consciousness or create it? Like, is consciousness there bubbling away and we're more so detecting it or more so creating it?
Oh, consciousness. I'd be inclined to say that it is detected, but I feel like I have to think about that more.
Yeah. And again, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. If you say, I don't know, I can't answer that, that's all right. No worries. We're just here to have fun. And, you don't have to answer the question. These are just prompts to talk. So, what's faster, speed of light or speed of thought? What's, did you hear? What's faster, speed of light or speed of thought?
Um, could you say that again?
What's faster, speed of light or speed of thought?
Again,
What is
I'm sorry.
fast?
It's really tough. Oh,
That's all right. That's all right. If you need to me to repeat it, just say repeat or say again. Yeah. What
yeah.
is
It keeps
what is what is faster? Speed of light or speed of thought?
speed of thought. I don't think thoughts ever stop happening.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what.
that's good. There's a poet, Audre Lorde. She said, "You can't dismantle the master's house using the master's tools." What new
Hmm.
what new tool do you suggest? What tool do you gravitate towards?
What tool do I gravitate towards? Well, my brain just thought of a crowbar, but I don't know where that's come from. Um, uh, tool of language,
Yeah,
of um power in numbers, that sort of thing.
that's good. What new toy do you suggest?
Is that related to the
Well,
house
it's
or just
yeah, it can be. You put the questions into the context that you want. Because I asked people what about their tool, someone said, "Well, what about a toy?" So then I just asked people, "Well, give me an idea of a toy that you gravitate towards." And again, it doesn't have to be tangible. It can be like
Mhm.
non-tangible or tangible.
um my mind went to guitar.
Yeah,
um
that's good. That's your main instrument. Your main instrument is your guitar and your voice.
yeah.
Yeah. What do you worry about when you go to bed at night?
And what do I worry about? I worry about all the things I have to do. um Not much else.
Good. Bob Dylan's like said he's like a radio receiver and transmitter. He's just getting this information and sending it out. But McLuhan said that we ignore what the artists are, putting out to us, the deeper level. Like Ezra Pound said, the artists are the antenna of the race. Why do humans ignore what the artists are really saying?
Because people are naturally, I think, very self-interested. I don't
Yeah,
think that's a bad thing. um but I think we take our own, like, we apply it, look at everything in the context of our own lives. And I think sometimes we do listen to what the artist is saying, but also at the same time, I think a lot of artists don't even care, because again, it's like they just want to share their story.
they want to share their story. Do artists have moral obligation?
I would say yes. If you have any kind of influence over a number of people, I think yes.
Yeah. Are you more afraid of new ideas or more afraid of old ideas?
Definitely not afraid of new ideas. So more so old, but I would say probably neither.
Neither. Can you conjure up your earliest memory ever or one of them?
Uh, I find it very hard to remember a lot of early memories. Um, Maybe.
Well, if you have one early memory, you could just articulate for in a couple words. Any early memory you can articulate?
I remember living in England when I was 3 or 4, and it being sunny and warm, and I had pink and yellow shoes.
Nice. Is memory more a curse or more a blessing?
It's definitely both, but I would say more a blessing.
Yeah. Tell me someone within your immediate family who had an impact on you, and what was that impact?
Ooh. Well, my mom, she has impacted pretty much everything about the way I am, and
But give me one specific. What did you mainly get from your mom, you think?
I think I got my strong sense of not seeing any, not being having any sort of pretense, and seeing through any sort of layers of falsehoods and like social games that people do often, because I think life is that kind of thing is too tedious to worry about, and I think effective communication, I would say.
Effective communication. That is really concise. What was her career? What does she do?
She's a surgeon.
She's a surgeon. Wow.
Yeah,
And
she's
so
incredible.
that is amazing. So what is the same question outside your immediate family? Someone who had an impact on you, and what was that impact?
Oh, there's so many people.
Well, the first one who comes to mind.
Impacts are, when it comes to outside of immediate family, because it's mostly kind of peers, I suppose.
Yeah.
Although, actually, I mean, I can say, talk about Nastasia,
Yeah.
from Sweeney's, because she introduced me to James Joyce, and which has become an intense passion and interest. And Sweeney's then changed my life.
Yeah.
The amount of people I've met and the amount of things I've done through Sweeney's because of Sweeney's.
That's good.
So, yeah.
How did you first meet her?
I met her at my dad's wedding when I was 12. Because her husband and my dad used to work together, and she came up to me and said, I need a little girl for my play. Will you be in it? Do you know about James Joyce? And I just said, yeah, I'll do it. And now here we are.
And you mean you did not know about James Joyce, or you did?
So I've been trying to think about this. I want to say I didn't know anything about James Joyce, but I can't remember. But I knew very little, if I did know anything.
Yeah.
But then because of her play, I fell completely in love with it.
Right. But Joyce aside, what did you get from Nastasia? Because she is an amazing woman. What did you get besides being turned on to Joyce and being in her play?
Definitely that age differences in terms of friendships and connections doesn't matter at all.
That is good.
Yeah.
And so did you have aspirations to be in a play Or were you playing music yet at age 12?
I definitely was, but not. Um, I had no. I was always an artist. Like I was always doing either drawing stuff or being in plays or doing music, but I had no specific inclination until
I
a few
mean,
years ago.
so before age 12, you were already in plays?
Yeah.
Okay, so she sort of sensed that you had
Although not
some,
a professional play. I only
right,
did, yeah,
but she sort of sensed you had something in you to be in the play.
I guess so. I mean, I think someone told her I was into drama or something.
I see. That's a beautiful story. So did your parents raise you a particular religion?
Well, this is funny. My parents divorced when I was about 4. Well, no, they divorced later, but they separated when I was about 4. Um, my mom raised me Catholic, and my dad raised me atheist. So that's that.
Do you pray?
Um, Not in any sort of traditional organized religious sense. I will, pray that there'll be a bus waiting for me at the bus stop. Um, I'll pray that my favorite band releases more dates in my area. um, and I practice gratitude a lot. But
Well, that's good.
yeah.
And so, if God does exist, what would you like God to say to you after you die?
Oh wow. um, uh, what's happening? I don't know. I don't. I don't. I don't want any kind of praise or
Yeah.
any kind of telling off. I also it's so out of what I think is in the realm of possibility that I would never consider this. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But you
just hey.
answered it. You answered it well. CD, you said well. What's happening? Could you imagine if God said to people, "Dude, what's happening?" no one, no one's ever said that before. Okay. CD, I'm glad you're having fun. That's what I'm here to have fun. Okay, so
Yeah.
do evil people exist, or does evil use people as a vehicle?
Ooh. Um. Oh, I think evil. Evil. I think, yeah, I think people are inclined. Yeah, I think evil people exist.
Yeah.
Because if you separate them, you're kind of taking the onus off them. And at some level, what is the difference? I don't know.
But it's more deeper question is how do you advise someone to deal with an enemy? See, like Alan Watts says, if you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them.
Yeah.
Fellini says, I need an enemy. So there's a lot of ideas about how we deal with enemies. If a friend came to you and said, someone's bullying me or I have
Mm.
an enemy, what advice would you give them? What would you tell them about
Run, get away from them. Don't
get away?
bother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when Nassim Taleb said, games were created to give non-heroes the illusion of winning. In real life, we don't know who wins or loses, but we can tell who a hero is. Do you
That's funny.
do you think punishment works?
Do I think punishment works? Oh God. I don't know. I think it's got to depend on the person. I think for some people it's never gonna work. Um, Work meaning they reform their actions, I guess. Um, I don't know.
It's a hard one. Like, how do we rehabilitate? Or, if someone's killing
Yeah.
people, You don't want them on the street, but what do? How do you rehabilitate? So it's interesting. So now on to James Joyce. He was the first projectionist at a movie theater in Dublin 100 years ago at the Volta Cinema.
Volta.
He basically checked out. He said, "This is stupid. Why should I go inside a building and see a movie of a tree when I can go outside and see a real tree?" Years later, William Faulkner said, "Sometimes the best fiction is more true than journalism." Why do we have to recreate things in order to get them? Why do we have to go to a theatrical play of people acting out life? Why don't we just live life?
Because sometimes I think you can't see things unless they're shown to you from a third person view.
Yeah.
Also, there's so many different types of living life, ways to live life. That seeing that art is a beautiful way to portray different types of living to people who don't experience that. But yeah, I think it's just an unmatched feeling, seeing your experiences intimately, publicly portrayed by somebody else. Some sort of primal human connection feeling that is just addictive.
Yeah. Tell me your tipping point. When you're growing up, what age are you starting to play guitar and write songs? And then you said, "That's my calling." So you already said you were kind of an artist from the beginning. You're always drawing, doing drama. But where's that tipping point where you said, "Music is my calling"? Where's that tipping point?
Very pinpointable, actually. So yeah, I've been playing guitar since I was about 9. But it was I had all these creative interests and I didn't know what to do. And it was like the final 2 years of secondary school where we had to decide what to do in university anyway, if that was people's choice, which I ended up choosing. But it was a friend of mine called Corel who we used to I don't know how this started. It was actually very serendipitous. I met through my stepmom's co-worker's daughter, who we had a chat, and she was saying, "Oh yeah, I jam with my friend all the time. Like we just like hang out and we just jam. Like we don't even try to write songs. We just play together. You should so do it." And then I contacted my friend who plays guitar, and I said, "Hey, we should do that." And then we did that for a year every week. And I then like immediately I started writing songs. And that was I was just 16.
Very good. So did you grow up hearing other music where you went, "Oh, I like this kind of thing," where you put words to music? A couple of the people you were hearing, people in your living room live or on famous musicians, or who had an impact on you in that regard, that like, oh, like, why did you pick up the guitar at age 9? Did your parents say, "Here, you've got to play an instrument"? Did your school say it? Like, why did you pick up the guitar at 9? Like,
Yeah, so no one in so no one in my immediate family anyway is a musician or artist. Um and so but I've just always naturally been way more drawn to the arts and stuff. When I was 9, it was my school did offered music lessons, and it was just one of these things where I can't even remember if I wanted to do it or my parents wanted me to do it. But I originally wanted to play cello. I was like dead set. I had these weird things where I would get set on a specific thing even though I didn't even know anything about it. But I for some reason got it in my head that I needed to play cello. And then my parents sat me down and said, cello's a bit expensive, you know, I'm not sure you will stick with it. They were a bit, well, my dad and my music teacher, they were afraid I was gonna quit after a week or something. So they said, what about guitar? How about guitar? It's like, okay.
But that was good. What are your parents playing around the house? CDs or the radio? And are you hearing stuff they're playing that had impact?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so it was only a couple of CDs that would be played. So like in my mom's house, it would be ABBA Gold.
Yeah.
And then at my dad's house, it would be Squeeze Best Hits or the Rum Sodomy and the Lash. That was my favorite album at about age 6. So, well, those 3 albums, and then my stepmom introduced me to Passenger by Lisa Hannigan. I don't know if you know her, but she is one of my all-time favorite artists, favorite most influential artists on my music or just on my life. I'm a huge fan of Lisa Hannigan.
Really good. And so a screenwriting teacher told me great art is when you can clearly see the intention of the maker. Stanley Kubrick says the opposite. Great art is when you can clearly not see the intention of the maker. When you're writing a CD song, a song of your own, what role does intention play in your creative process?
Intention is very personal and intimate to my songwriting process. I don't like other people to know the exact meaning of what I'm writing about. There's like musical intention. Like I would like them to see that I intend to be clever when I'm writing things. But in terms of meaning, I always want that to be hidden behind a wall because I sometimes feel when other artists explain every detail of the meaning of their songs, it kind of diminishes my experience of it.
It's really beautiful what you just said. How'd you learn that? How did you learn, or where did that come from that you don't want to reveal? I mean, the first question is, do you know the hidden meaning?
Yes, I would say yes.
You know the hidden meaning, but you don't want to broadcast it.
Yeah.
Where did you learn that, not to broadcast your meaning? Or where'd that come from?
I think it came from just getting my inspiration from the deepest parts of my feelings and things that I wouldn't say to people really. Or even if I would say them, I feel like if it's I think it is like, because personally when I listen to other people, I want to take my own things from it. And so I want other people to just take their own things from what I'm saying.
Right. You don't want them to tell you how to think. You just want them to get you thinking or feeling. Yeah. Okay. So a CD, this is really fun. Thank you. Okay. Marcel Duchamp said there's no art without an audience. How much are you thinking of your potential listeners, your audience, when you're writing your song?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would still write songs even if I was the last person on earth. Because I am my own audience as well. I love my own songs. And when my album comes out, I will be listening to it. But yeah, I do, especially now that I've done a few gigs and I'm used to performing in front of people and I know that there is an audience. I do think about it. I sometimes actually, it's tricky because there's things I want to say and I want to write in my lyrics sometimes that I feel like I have to censor, because certain people would know what I'm alluding to, or they think certain things. It happens very rarely because I don't want to censor myself, but sometimes.
Really good. McLuhan says everything we invent extends some humanness. Like
Mm,
knife and fork extends our teeth. The shutter in a camera extends our eyelid. And
mm,
maybe non-tangible, say religion or philosophy, extends consciousness. What is the
mm.
guitar? What does the guitar extend for you? What humanness?
Um, I mean, I guess the voice,
Yeah.
um, if not to be too obvious, it's sort of a way of singing, because singing already and talking is a way of expressing your feelings, and so you
But
can do that with
another
guitar.
tool. Yeah, no, that's good. But another tool you use is the pen. Do you write your lyrics with a keyboard or a pen?
I prefer to write them with a pen or pencil.
What does the pen or pencil extend? What humanness?
The brain, I guess, the thoughts.
Yeah.
Because when I write my little thoughts, it's very Leopold Bloom-esque. Went to shop, made toast, had a scary dream.
Very good. Okay, we're going to get into Joyce, but let's do music first. This is
Yeah, yeah,
fun.
no, yeah.
So, what's the function of music?
Ooh, loads of functions. To make it easier to move our bodies and dance, to give us happy serotonin, to express our feelings, to hear stories, to tell stories, to create things that haven't been created before, and create things that have been created before.
It's good. Aaron Copeland says there's
Mm.
4 elements to music: melody, harmony, rhythm, and tone color.
Mm.
How do you juggle those? Do you focus on one more than the other? What's your sort of emphasis? Melody, harmony, rhythm, or tone color?
Melody, harmony, rhythm, or tone color. I mean, this is only talking about instrumental music, because then there's the whole added aspect of lyrics
Exactly.
and meaning.
He's talking about your
Wow.
musical composition. Yeah.
Composition.
Yeah.
Melody, harmony. What was the other? Rhythm and tone.
Melody, harmony, rhythm, and tone color. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um. Ooh. I would definitely say at different points in my songwriting journey, and different depending on which other artist I'm obsessing with in the moment and who's inspiring me, it will definitely change. And also, if I get sick of the way I'm doing things, I feel like I've done something too much. So definitely at the beginning, I was focusing on melody, melody, melody. Um, and then like recently, I've been focusing way more on rhythm. Um, Tone color is something I haven't experimented with much, but it's something I definitely get to do in recording and using different instruments. But I think I phase through all of these, placing each of them.
Yeah. I appreciate you being articulate and concise, because most people go all 4 and blah blah blah. It's constantly, but there is some people emphasize rhythm first. One musician said melody is rhythm. So, but your
Mm.
main instrument is guitar. Are you playing steel string guitar or nylon string?
I mainly play steel string, though I love a nylon string.
And do you play with picks or no pick?
Usually no pick.
No pick. Great. And so, what's the other instruments you play?
Well, musicians love to say they play instruments when they, have it and just have played it for a couple hours. But I'll say mainly I can actually play the guitar, acoustic and electric. I have a basic understanding of piano, keyboard.
Yeah.
I can play bass guitar. I have a banjo. I can technically play it. Same with the tin whistle. I can technically play it. I have an accordion as well.
Oh, how
Um,
cool. You got some
which
cool instruments.
yeah, I any opportunity for a new instrument, I adore. Um, but yeah, the accordion, oh, I love it so much. I'm not very good, but I can play it.
I love
Technically.
it. It's a beautiful instrument. So you named a lot there. Now, do you perform and write solo, or do you work with bands? Do you work with other musicians?
Yeah. So when I write songs, it's definitely just myself. Um, and then, well, so the basic skeleton of the song, I write myself, just me and guitar, pretty much always. Sometimes just me and keyboard or piano, but then there's this live aspect and recording aspect. So I've actually recorded a whole album, which will come out next month hopefully. But I do have a band. Um, they're like the CD backing band, but we're all an incredible group of friends. So we play. So I have Saoirse and Dara who play saxophone. Saoirse plays alto. Dara plays tenor and baritone saxophone, which adds so much to my songs. It's brilliant. And then there's Chloe who plays keyboard and sometimes banjo. Um, and then there's Maeve who plays bass and Kane who plays drums. And then we recorded some funny instruments. Like I recorded some accordion when we were recording, and then we did octave mandolin, violin. Um, yeah, and the violin actually was Kane's girlfriend Leah, who is in another Dublin band, Arabu. I really like collaborating with other musicians, and I'm kind of possibly working on another side project with other musicians at the moment. But we'll see how that goes. But when I write the songs, it's definitely just me.
Good. So my friend says the 3 T's of music are technique, theory, and taste. You learned how to play guitar, that's technique. You know the structure, that's theory. How does one acquire taste?
Listening to other music, I guess.
Yeah.
You gotta listen to music. I think you gotta listen to music so that you don't come up with the same thing as somebody else. But also, I find the more I listen to of different things, the more ideas I get. I mean, I know some people in my music course who are quite cynical about the future of music and have this very postmodernist view that everything's been done before and there's just no hope left and everything sounds the same as other songs. It's all a pastiche, and I don't think
No.
we'll ever run out of new things.
No, we'll never run out. Thank God. I agree with you 100%. But in this word taste, McLuhan said song is slowed down speech. The reason cultures have different musical taste is ultimately connected to language difference. So I'm curious your thoughts on that.
I think I think that can definitely be true for some things. Like I think maybe a culture's folk music or popular music. This could definitely be true. I think definitely though every music has the potential to be enjoyed by anyone, but I think there could definitely be some truth in that.
Yeah. What's more fundamental, music or language?
Music.
Yeah. There's no right or wrong answers, but that one you got right. Thelonious Monk says silence is the loudest sound in the universe. You know, Miles Davis talks about the space.
There's no such thing as silence.
There's no such thing?
There's no such thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. But there's the space between notes, as Miles Davis. And
Yeah.
George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic, says funk is the absence of. How do you know when to integrate silence in a song? How do you know when to not play?
Intuition. I would just have to say intuition.
Yeah. And there's a woman, she said, a performance artist, she said, the key is to bring the audience up onto the stage and into the scene with you. It is they who must give you even more than you give them in the way of imagination and creative power. That sounds good, but how do you do that?
Learn from others. Really watch and listen to others and
Yeah.
learn from them and take inspiration from them in whatever way that comes.
Leonard Cohen says the only way you can sell a concert is if you put yourself at risk. And if you don't do that, people know. What
Yeah.
role does risk play in your creative process?
Yeah. I would agree with that. I would agree that being risky is being true to the art and being true to yourself, and not compromising on anything. I know I was just saying about censoring myself, but so far I haven't really. I think I try to do it for the art, because I do think people know if you're performing to appease them, or perform if you're not feeling it, to put it that way. If the artist, I think you need to risk being vulnerable and really feeling what you are playing.
But what is courage? That sounds good, but what does courage mean to you now? Where does the courage come from you to have risk?
It's just something I have to have. I feel, um, uh, I don't think there's any other way I could perform without being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's a Viola Spolin also said, if the audience cannot see your struggle to achieve something, they cannot root for you to achieve it. What role does struggle play in your creative process?
Yeah. Um, that's true. I mean, yeah. I mean, I in sort of like the goal being to, not sure what my goal ultimately is, but at the moment all I want is to play more, perform more, write more, release more, which can be very hard. And being honest with people about the time it takes, and the money it takes, and the luck it takes to do all that. And also, well, I don't think, yeah, I mean, if you have good, if your music, if people think it's good, I think people will root for you.
Yeah.
But then if you are successful off the bat, then they don't really need to root for you. So
It's really, yeah, it's funny because this next question goes along with that. A jazz writer said, I mean sound as it has long functioned among jazz players as a mystical term of art, as in every musician finally needs a sound, a full and sensible embodiment of their artistic personality. And so this is like he summarized, like he says, Miles Davis in 2 words, fragile and pointed. And John Coltrane, slightly undercooked and urgent. If a music writer or, somebody writing about you, reviewing one of your shows, was going to summarize your sound in a couple words, what 2 words would you go, oh, they got me? They got They got the CD sound. What is the
Oh,
CD
that's a great
sound if you
question.
summarized it in a couple words?
There definitely is one, and my bandmates would be better to ask than me. But I want to say uh fizzy. And
Say
I
the word
want
again. Busy.
Fizzy.
Oh, Fizzy. Fizzy.
Yeah.
What's fizzy mean? What's another word for fizzy?
Energetic, but
Energetic.
that's in a way that's orange.
That's good. I love that. Energetic. It's a color. I mean, it's back to tone color. That's good.
Yeah,
Orange. You
yeah,
mean like a fizzy, like you put it in a drink and it fizzes up.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like
Um,
orangeade. Okay,
and
what's that? Was
yeah,
good. Now, what's the second word? Fizzy's a great first word. What's the second?
uh, somehow turning woodland into an adjective.
Oh, that's good. You're the best answer of all these. People are always like, sincere and organic and blah blah blah. That's you're much more creative. That was beautiful. Okay, so here's another question about time. I mean, what do
Yeah,
you study? You study in college all about composition and all the music stuff? Okay,
only
here's one for you. Why is 4/4 time the most commonly used time signature in Western music?
I have no idea. I think it became popular, and uh they kept playing it for us uh as children and throughout our lives, and it's everywhere. And so now we've come too far, and it's all what we gravitate towards because it's what we've grown up with. But it, like, actually, biologically, I don't think there's any I don't think there's any reason.
Yeah, because one person says besides it being intuitive and easy, it might be because it's sync with our heartbeat and
Oh, well,
the way we walk or march. And then one musician goes, dude, we're not in our heartbeat's not in 4/4
no.
time. It's in 3/4 time. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think our heartbeat's in 4/4 certainly, and I think if we march in 4/4, that's because we have 4/4 already in our heads.
Yeah.
But like in the medieval era, 4/4 or 2/4, whatever, was seen as half time, and 3/4 was seen as the whole because it's three and it ties into this thing of threes. Like three has always
Yeah.
been a much more magical and important number than four.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if any of it is natural, but
Yeah. Yeah. Really good. So let's jump into Joyce now. So what did you start with Joyce wise? Did you
reading.
start? I mean, which a book at what age?
Okay. So, well, it's a bit funny because I did the play for the first time when I was 13, which contains much of the text of Ulysses. It's an adaptation of Ulysses
Okay.
by Natasha. It's an incredible play. And it contains so much of the book itself, Ulysses, that I became so familiar with so much of Ulysses from a young age. Um, but then I did the play again when I was 14 and really took it upon myself to get into Joyce. I read a lot of Ulysses. I never read it fully. I attend the readings in Sweeney's now. I'm almost there. But I read in that same year when I was 14. I read Dubliners, and I read half of Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, which I intend to read again properly this year. And now, of course, I'm reading Finnegan's Wake
What
as
age
well.
did you start reading The Wake?
19 last year.
Oh, last year you started The Wake.
Yep. That was
And
the one thing I never touched before.
Yeah. But it's quite amazing because when you read it, you really have a good sense of reading it. Do you think it's because you're Irish? I mean, why do I can't, like some people, like one time someone came into Sweeney's and they were from America in the southern states, where all the Gothic writers, Truman Capote or whoever, and they somehow read it like it sounded like they knew what they were doing, and you have that sense. There's certain
Mhm.
readers who really get it. I mean, where do you think you got that from being raised in Dublin?
Um, I think that's part of it. Um, I think familiarity with Joyce generally. Um, I think familiarity with reading aloud generally. Um, as well.
But
Yeah.
reading aloud, CD, but reading aloud, you mean because you were in these plays with Nastasia?
Yeah.
You're reading Joyce in those plays aloud. That's what gave you that sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think he means by epiphany and everydayness? What does that mean to you for Joyce? What does he mean, and what does that mean to you?
Well, the classic extraordinary in the ordinary, incredible in the mundane, ordinary sublime. There's so many writers have written about that kind of concept phenomenon. Um, I I would say it's important to me. I would say I think there's so many you can go through so many different things and emotions and everything in one day, and it's very I think it's very important to live in the moment, and um I mean, it's sort of obvious, but I think you need that sense of extraordinary in the ordinary to be able to do that, because otherwise I think you might be miserable if you see the mundane things as being miserable. But if you celebrate them, I think it gives an overall better quality of life.
But you brought up you must have ESP because you brought up the next question perfectly. Richard Ellman studied Joyce.
Yeah.
He said, we are learning to be Joyce's contemporaries. Now, you
Mm,
touched on be here now, like live in the moment. In fact, Joyce's, the guy Joyce talked about a lot, Wyndham Lewis, said, artists live in the present and write a detailed history of the future. So it's all about living in the moment, be here now. And
yeah.
both Joyce and Frank Zappa said all times are happening now. This all at onceness. So
Mm.
do you think Ellman was saying we're learning to be Joyce's contemporaries, meaning we were learning to be living in Joyce's time or learning to live in the moment?
I think it means learning to live as Joyce lived, i.e., living in the moment.
Both.
No, I mean saying to live as Joyce lived, I mean live the way that he lived his life, which was in the moment for him. So I think it's in the moment.
For him, that's what he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what made Joyce such a unique writer? His DNA from his parents, the environment, his upbringing. What's the factors that made him the special writer he is? What do you see? What do you think?
I think it's whatever naturally uh occurred in him. I think obviously his upbringing and his family and his experiences greatly shaped his writing in terms of theme and such. But I think the way he writes and his inclination to write, I think that's something that comes naturally.
Yeah, because Cecil Taylor, the great jazz pianist, says, I'm just a vehicle and this stuff just comes through me.
Yeah, I feel like that sometimes.
But is art making more self-expression or more you're a vehicle for whatever technologies, cultures, and environments are dominant?
Well, I think well, when I'm creating, I'm definitely a vehicle of, because self-expression, like the self, I feel like already is just an accumulation of whatever is happening in my specific environment and the people around me. And so a vehicle, I suppose.
But for Joyce, because the next question, CD, is, can art making be egoless?
Can art making be? Oh no. Absolutely not.
But do you think Joyce was more self-expression or more a vehicle?
Oh, self-expression. Definitely self-expression, but I think he liked to, well, he, was trying to build up, in Ulysses anyway, he was trying to build up this his sort of historical capture of Dublin, and he did it quite well, but I think it's very much secondary to him trying to tell his personal story.
Yeah.
It was very much about his life.
He says in Portrait, I will try to express myself in some mode of life or art as freely as I can and as wholly as I can, using for my defense the only arms I allow myself to use: silence, exile, and cunning. So that's where McLuhan, McLuhan got that idea of we extend our humanness from Joyce. I allow myself to use the only arms I allow myself to use are silence, exile, and cunning. What are those words? What do you think he meant by those three words, or what do they mean to you? Silence, exile, and cunning.
Silence makes me think in terms of Joyce of like prayer.
Yeah.
Exile makes me think of a lot of things. I actually forgot to say I read Exiles recently. And he had that whole concept. I mean, cunning. I don't know about cunning. I mean, he had this whole thing. He wanted an enemy, didn't he? In Oliver St. John Gogarty. I mean, isn't there sort of evidence to suggest that it was kind of more on Joyce, the whole story of them being enemies, that he wanted it to be that way. Maybe cunning is sort of his desire for that kind of rivalry, or his sort of distaste towards Ireland ties into exile.
Yeah.
I mean, he obviously had a familiarity for Ireland, which familiarity can be a manifestation of love, or be sort of conflated with love, perhaps in some way, some type of love. But he certainly had distaste for Ireland. For me, silence just makes me think of John Cage. I'm studying him at the moment, and he's in my head. And Joyce makes me think of John Cage makes me think of Joyce. So now it's a circle. But exile is bad, I think, for my life. I don't like the idea of exile. Cunning is also bad for my life, I think. I'm not gravitating towards cunning.
Well, I'm going to ask you this question. You handled that well, CD. There's a line that goes, you create what you resist. Bob Goldthwait, the comedian, said, you are what you hate. In fact, Joyce Joyce said, it's a curious thing how your mind is super saturated with the religion in which you say you disbelieve. And
Yeah.
Louis Buñuel said, thank God I'm an atheist. So do you think this idea it either applies to Joyce or artists in general? I'm not saying you, but you create what you resist. One creates what one resists. Any thoughts on that line?
Great, what one resists. I mean, hatred, indifference is one thing. I mean, but hatred can take up so much of your energy and brain, um and like room in your brain. So to have hatred for something is inherently to think about it a lot. And I think anything you think about a lot or anything that's on your brain is going to manifest in art. uh whenever you sit down to write it, it's always going to be influenced by anything that's going on in your head at the time, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's funny because McLuhan loved to quote, the Balinese have no word for art. They do everything as well as they can. So what do you think the motive of the cave artist was, or the cave, the cave
Yeah.
musicians? We don't know what the cave musicians were playing, but we know they were probably playing music.
Yeah. Yeah. Motive. I think we don't think about I don't think they were thinking about why they were doing it. I don't
Yeah.
think they really had time to stop and be existential the way we kind of have time to be now. I think they were like, survive, and then I think it's a natural instinct. I mean, it's like those um ancient balls that they find with like swirls on them, and they're like, what does this mean? Why did they make them? um we just want to. We
Yeah.
just do it. I
I
don't think
like
they would have.
I like that a lot because David Moss, a great musician, told me, I says, what's the function of music? He said, the sound of being alive.
Mm-hmm.
And the New Guinea culture is the same thing. They have no word for music. They just create music. There's not like a motive.
Mm-hmm.
So here's another Joyce line I'd love for you to comment on from Portrait. Welcome, O life. I go to encounter for the millionth time the reality of experience, and to forge in the smithy of my soul the uncreated conscience of my race. What is this smithy of my soul? To forge the smithy of my soul, the uncreated conscience of my race. Any thoughts?
Well, I think it's clear to see that Joyce, while not being a Catholic, Catholicism took up a large portion of his thinking. I don't know. I think it's inherently funny to think of a god being just like a blacksmith, uh, making your little soul with a hammer. I'm not sure. I think it's.
And
I
then
just
the uncreated, what's the uncreated conscience of my race? I mean, uncreated. Do we have a conscience? Like, do we know morals and ethics in our brain before, or are we taught? Like you brought up the word, hatred. I asked this kid once who was raised a Buddhist, from a very young age. I says, what have you learned being raised a Buddhist? And he says, not to hate.
Mm.
And it's like, wait a minute, because most of us are kind of brainwashed to believe we have to hate, or we have biases, or we have I guess McLuhan nailed it best. He says understanding is not having a point of view. Like Oh, you like this or not? You know it from Joyce. People go, well, Ulysses is a great book, but he went too far with Finnegan's Wake. I'm like, that's the whole purpose of Finnegan's Wake. He did go too far. That's why he did it.
Oh,
So CD, what's more important, conviction or compromise?
compromise.
Wow, beautiful. T.S. Eliot said poetry is outing your inner dialogue. What language is your inner dialogue in?
Um, whoever is occupying my brain at a time, I would say. Sometimes, as I was saying, sometimes my thinking is like how Joyce writes Bloom's thoughts. Sometimes friends of mine will speak my thoughts for me.
Yeah,
Sometimes they'll come to me in hazy colors and sounds.
I
um,
love that. Hazy colors. What language is your inner dialogue in? Hazy colors. That's good. Well, I'm glad you got a lot of them. So, is perception reality?
I'd say as long as it feels the same, it may as well be the same.
Yeah.
After that, I don't care.
Now, tell me one major element of your CD-ness, who you are, that's changed, and one major element that stayed the same. Especially in being a creative artist, like since 8, 9, 10 years old till now. What's one thing that stayed the same and one thing that's changed?
Ooh. One thing that stayed the same is I don't know, this is a somewhat maybe boring answer, but like authenticity to myself. Like I will be as weird as I want to be, essentially. Um, I don't uh I don't want to I don't filter what I'm doing uh in terms of who I am really. Um, one thing that's changed, amount of just normal things, amount of self-confidence, amount of self acceptance, amount of friends,
Yeah,
amount of songs, amount of music listened to.
yeah, it's good. Most
Positivity has never changed. I'm aggressively positive.
aggressively positive. Did you get
Violently positive.
did you get that from the way your mom raised you?
Yeah, I think so. Not to I think some people are so miserable and I think they
Yeah,
do it to themselves by being
yeah.
so cynical.
It's William Blake. We become what we behold.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Why would we?
Moshe Feldenkrais works with healing and movement. He says it's literally possible to identify a weakness and incorporate it to become a strength, rather than we're normally taught to overcome a weakness. Tell
Hmm.
me, tell me a weakness you turned into a strength.
Weakness I turned into a strength. Well, I don't know if it's a weakness, but hmm, just like being slightly strange.
Okay, and how's that become a strength?
Because I think people are actually drawn to that,
Yeah,
and like I don't. Well, the the kind of people you want around will be drawn to that.
yeah, that's good. How do you find peace of mind?
Peace of mind. Um, I listen to my favorite music, and I drink tea and well, yeah, sometimes I meditate. If it gets real, because sometimes a lot of the time I don't a lot of the time I try just shove the unrest to the side and ignore it. But recently I've been meditating, putting on some Indian music and trying to get that nothingness in the brain.
I like that. There's a great line in a Frank Zappa song. He goes, "Nothing is what I want."
Nothing is what I want. Yeah, sometimes.
Nothing. What's the most significant difference between men and women, physical aside?
Oof. I mean, in terms of the reality, considering how we're raised typically, I want to say our relationship with ourselves, in regard to self-confidence, perhaps.
Yeah.
I think both can have shockingly cavernous, low levels of self-worth for completely opposite things, in completely oppositely in different areas.
Yeah. It's really good. These are 5 quick Alan Watts questions off the top of your head in just a couple words. Number 1, who started it all?
Oh my God, the sun.
The sun. But you notice what you said? You said, "Oh my God,"
Oh my
and then
God.
you said the sun. That was good. Okay. The next Alan Watts is, are we going to make it?
Yes.
Where do we put it?
In our hearts.
Do you know what? I know that these interviews go well is when I tear up, and that's the answer I want to hear the most, because it's on 40 years, it only happens once in a while. I mean, it's so evident. Where do we put it? In our heart. It's so good. Thank you. Number 4, who's cleaning it up?
Us. We got to do it.
And number 5 is it serious?
Completely, and also not at all.
I really appreciate all your answers. We got about 10 more minutes, CD. That was really good, because it's a little bit of both. Again, Frank Zappa says, I'm very serious about being not serious.
Yeah.
So Utah Phillips, who's a great folk singer, and you should check him out. He said, anarchy is making rules for yourself and not other people. Who's entitled to make the rules?
Anyone.
Yeah. If you were walking down the street today and you met yourself as a 12-year-old, what would you say to your 12-year-old self?
Oh, I would say you're doing brilliantly.
Yeah.
You're wonderful.
Yeah. Which way should toilet paper come off the roll, over or under?
Over.
If a publisher was to release your autobiography off the top of your head, what would the title be?
CD is not playing this time.
And they want to scent the glue in the binding of your autobiography. What smell?
Lavender.
I love it. If a statue was built in your honor, where would you want it displayed, and what would it be made of?
Ooh. It would be made of. See, I want to say something green because green is my color, but not emerald because that's too opulent. Maybe some copper that's gonna kind of decay, and then we'll put it. Oh, we could put it in Sweeney's. Oh no, I put it by the sea, certainly.
By the
Um,
sea.
yeah.
But what's the green if it's not emerald? What's the adjective of the green you like? What's that? What kind of green?
Earthy.
Oh, earthy? Earthy green. You're a fizzy woodland earthy green. Tell me something good you never had and you never want.
Ooh. Diamonds.
That is good. You know, the three answers I get the most are fame, money, and heroin.
Oh, I want fame and money, certainly. I don't think I want heroin.
You're a smart person. If you were in a vat of vomit up to your neck and someone threw a bag of shit at your face, what would you do?
Oh, I try get out.
What's the healthy what's the cultural shift you see developing today that inspires you?
Inspires. Um, well, positively, I see young people protesting the horrors that are going on in the world and being very caring a lot about um, the problems of the world that don't, even if they don't affect the individual's own lives. That inspires me.
But what's the difference between rebellion and revolution?
Rebellion and revolution. Hmm. Uh, I think revolution is a type of rebellion, but not necessarily the other way around.
Yeah, because I think rebellion is there's something wrong, and revolution is there's something wrong, and here's a new plan.
Yeah.
Like, it's called re-evolution. It's in the word. You re-evolve. Do you
Yeah.
think do you think human progress is cyclical or cumulative? Are we going around in circles or are we getting better or worse?
Cyclical. 100%.
Yeah. What's the difference between rights and responsibilities?
Um, right is your sort of privilege, um, and you can choose to exercise them. Uh, but responsibilities is sort of what you should. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to define the word should, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I have trouble. People go, you should do this or you got to do that. And I goes, there's no gotta or shoulds.
I usually would disagree with all kinds of shoulds. But
Yeah.
I do have some sort of moral code
Yeah.
at the same time.
But that's back to anarchy. The word freedom etymologically is the same thing as Utah Phillips saying. He says freedom means making one's own rules for oneself. That's where the word freedom came from. What does freedom mean to you now?
Yeah, I agree with making one's own rules for oneself.
Yeah.
Because you can certainly be trapped by other people's rules for you.
Yeah.
And your own. Actually, you can be trapped by your own rules for yourself too.
Yeah.
I think freedom is listening to your primal self most of the time.
That's good. Listening to your primal self. I love that. We need to listen to our primal selves more, I think.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
dance.
Um You brought up the word story early on, and great experimental filmmaker Hollis Frampton said, narrative is born among the animal necessities of the spirit because we're waiting to die. Can you forget to die?
Yeah.
See, people don't know if I mean it literally or metaphorically, so I'm glad you said, yes, you can forget to die.
Yeah.
I love it. What's a question that remains unresolved for you?
Who am I?
That's good.
Yeah.
Of all the people I interview, it seems you know who you are. You know, Alan Watts says, if you figure out who you are, you're fucked. Krishnamurti and McLuhan both say violence is the human search for identity. Like, are we more hardwired for cooperation or more hardwired for violence? Like, you know, protecting ourselves and, you know.
I think it's different people are more inclined to either.
Yeah.
I'm not wired towards violence at all.
Yeah.
But I think it comes from a frustration of not knowing.
Of not knowing. Yeah. Isn't that funny? Because that's one thing I strive to do is unlearn and not know. But in essence,
what's so good about choice?
Yeah. But that's the thing is you get mixed up. You're going, oh, I want to unlearn everything I know. But one of the things I know is to not know.
Yeah.
It's, McLuhan nailed Joyce. I think he said it the best. He says Joyce uses the pun as a way of seeing the paradoxical exuberance of being through language. So it's that we see there's a paradox in being, you know. Are we watching it happen or are we making it happen? You know, is it So how has playing music, writing music shaped your behavior?
My behavior, maybe I seek out other art more often, or I view things as art more often, like a museum exhibit or something is the experience of that can be art. I think when you get into a zone of taking inspiration from things, then you seek out inspiration more.
Yeah.
It's like a machine.
That's how I treat Sweeney's every Tuesday for me. I mean, that hour and a half reading The Wake with these people who just wander into this, you know, pharmacy is amazing. It's what I learned constantly there is so fun. And I'm glad, we've gotten together through them. I have two more and we're out of here. Thank you so much for your time. This is Thornton Wilder. He was total Wakean. If you check out his book, it's like this thick of all the letters he wrote about Finnegan's Wake. And he wrote a famous play called Our Town. And in 1928, he said, art is confession. Art is the secret told. But art is not only the desire to tell one's secret, it's the desire to tell it and hide it at the same time.
Yeah.
You've laid your cards on the table for 90 minutes. I'm not insinuating you haven't already answered this. What's it really all about for you?
What's it really all about for me is joy, music, love, music, wine, revolution. Yeah, joy and love.
I love it.
Air and love.
Air.
Swinging back, river
Well,
run.
it goes back. Here's the last question. What gives you the most optimism?
Ooh. Thinking about my own trajectory, which somewhat selfish, but thinking about the ideas I have and what I have planned and how much of it there is and how it's never running out, makes me hopeful for art and my own future.
Yeah. It's beautiful, CD. It's really been fun. You know, the first question is what's the best thing for a human being? And Wilhelm Reich said the best thing for a human being is another human being. And the last question is what they asked Groucho Marx at the end of his life. What gives you the most optimism? And he said, other people. So it's sure been fun spending this time with another person, especially because it was you. Thank you so much, CD.
Thank you so much. It was great fun.
Yeah, and I always appreciate you playing music at a Finnegan's Wake reading club. When people sing songs, I go, they get what the wake's about. It's like turning your eye experience reading a book into an ear experience.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, CD. I'm going to hit the end broadcast button now, and I hope this never ends and we can keep talking forever and ever. Bye. Thank you.